Everybody Hates Rand is a Wheel of Time podcast that will contain spoilers for all 14 books. So if you're anti-spoiler, stop this, read all 14 books, and come back. We'll be here, waiting.
Our title is a joke and is meant to be taken as such. Everybody in this context refers to us and our cats. You are free to feel however you want about Rand. He's a fictional character. Please don't DM us.
The world is a mess, Dark One stretching out his hand. The dragon's reborn, the fire's been fanned, but everybody hates Rand. Everybody hates Rand. Everybody hates Rand.
Apologies in advance if Ed sneezes 17 times directly into the microphone. I don't know if you know this, if you're not a cat owner, but when they're, like, sick, like a little bit sick, they sneeze a whole lot. If they've got, like, a little cold. And Ed is an animal, so he does not direct his sneezes to the most convenient place, and in fact has sneezed on this book.
Yeah, several times while I was reading it.
He will just walk straight up to you and sneeze at you. Like, he weaponizes his sneezes.
Yeah.
He's also purring right now, right next to the microphone, which does not mean he's happy. It means he's needy, and
He thinks if he purrs and looks adorable, we'll pay attention to him.
that will
And he's right.
bring him outside and feed him cookies. And Ed, yeah, 9 out of 10 times you are right, but we're not going outside, pal. It is like 200 degrees out, and the air pollution is bad, so that's probably getting you sick.
Yeah, that's probably why you're a little sickums. That's why I'm a little sickums.
Yeah. Who can
What
blame?
if I sneezed on you?
You would hate that, Ed. You would think it was the worst thing that ever happened to you. So why can't you use the golden rule?
It's like, that doesn't apply to me.
It's like, what?
Can't read.
Because I'm better than you.
Because you're a loser?
Because you're my servant. I could have you beheaded at once. Oh, Ed, you are our favorite guy. One of our 2 favorite little guys.
2 favorite little guys?
Hey, y'all. This is Everybody Hates Rant, your friendly neighborhood Wheel of Time podcast. I'm Emily Jushaw.
And I am Sally Goodger.
We actually read 3 chapters today because what happens in the course of these chapters is fairly repetitive.
Yeah.
In terms of what's going on multiple battlefields. I think in the last section, or maybe the one before that, but, like, Elaine decided that Bashir is a dark friend.
Right.
Based upon the, sabotage.
Yeah.
Saboteurs. That is happening to the army that is under his command. And independently from one another, Lan and Matt / Edwin kind of will come to the same conclusions about their respective generals on the battlefield. Eturald is the only one who doesn't have to suffer suspicion because he's only been fighting for like 2 days, so he hasn't had a chance to do any major
time yet.
sabotage.
Yeah. At least Lan recognizes that compulsion is a possibility.
Yeah, that's pretty funny. Elaine immediately concludes Bashir's a dark friend, and Matt also is like, oh, what's his name? Gareth Bryn must be a dark friend. And Lan is like, I'm placing you under arrest, but that does not necessarily mean I think you're evil. I think you might be being mind controlled, because that's a perfectly reasonable thing to assume. It is disappointing when Lan is the smartest person out there.
It's just kind of frustrating that our channeling people weren't like, remember this channeling thing we can do to people?
Yeah,
Whatever.
I was gonna say, I don't fully expect Matt to cop on to the idea of compulsion, because he is not experienced with channeling, but I would think Elaine would, perhaps.
I guess Lan's been working with the Aes Sedai for like 100 years or whatever, so...
Yeah.
At least, I guess he's got the
and Moiraine famously is like forbidden section of the library constantly.
Yeah, Moiraine
this is an illegal weave, don't use it. Yeah. Balefires. 6 different people.
Yeah. Moiraine
do as I say, not as I do.
Moirain's the type to be like, Lan, will you let me practice doing compulsion on you just so I know how to do it and what to look for?
And Lan's like, you got it.
And Lan's the type of ride or die bestie to be like, you bet.
Rand's like, me familia.
Yeah.
Yes, of course I will.
Of course you can mind control me.
Fuck up my brain, please.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be such an iconic revelation? If we discovered 14 books later that Lan's been under compulsion this entire, just sort of botched compulsion, and that explains his entire personality.
Yeah. It's not actually that he's like that or anything. He just, Moiraine was trying to make him.
New Spring comes out, you know, and we are like, oh, he was like a happy-go-lucky, lovely.
Yeah. Charming little himbo.
Yeah, just a delightful man.
Yeah.
And then this happened.
Yeah.
Then he got lobotomized. No, that would have been funny, and we don't believe in being funny unless it's Brandon Sanderson trying to make Matt do jokes. Yeah, there's also the fact that, like, after one person has accused their resident general of being a dark friend, that sort of loses its punch.
Yeah.
Like, the revelation of what's happening with the generals has come as 4 separate revelations. You know, we've got Perrin's plotline, Matt, Lan, and Elaine, rather than anything that is sort of, like, tied together, which, reduces the, like, narrative impact. It's clear that Brandon Sanderson wrote this book to be, like, read more or less in 1 or 2 sittings, just super, super fast, so that you didn't have a lot of time to think, like, wow, people are still figuring this out the way we are. But I just think it also stretches the believability a little bit because these battlefields are supposed to be in near constant communication with one another.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
First of all, did anybody read this in 1 sitting?
I read it in 2.
Wow.
Yeah. The good old days when those were my pre-compulsion days.
Sure.
Back when I was a bright-eyed, bushy-tailed 19-year-old.
Wow. Impressive. Truly. Amazing. Yeah, nothing to add. Just like you said, it doesn't really have narrative impact. I lost what I was going to say because I'm so impressed. Carry on.
Anyway, just going point of view by point of view. Lan is getting more and more suspicious and decides to go confront Agelmar about it. He also, like, it's just impossible to either track or narrate what the specifics of what... It's impossible to track or narrate the specific logistics of what is going on these battlefields, so I'm not going to try too hard. But Lan basically suspects that Agelmar / evil are setting up some sort of trap, and so he sort of is able to belay that so it won't happen before he goes even to confront Agelmar. We see Loyal fighting.
Yeah.
That's it. Loyal's fighting on the battlefield where Elaine is struggling. Matt decides he's going to go inspect the battlefield, which obviously he's not supposed to do as a high-ranking Shanshan noble person, and also arguably as the general.
Yeah.
This is a break in Matt's general-like character, in that every time we have seen him in charge of a battle previously, he has been either behind the lines deliberately or attempting to get behind the lines.
Right.
You know, the only time we see him in the thick of it is, like, that long sequence in Fires of Heaven when he is accidentally drawn into the battle and sort of starts the Band of the Red Hand.
Yeah.
Every other time he's like, I am aware that I am too valuable as the general to go into a fight where I could get stabbed. Mm-hmm. Not even on purpose, on accident. That's the sort of thing that happens in melee combat. So it's very weird that he decides to join it, but I guess I'm getting ahead of myself a little bit there. He's just said he wants to go, like, look over it. The Shanshan are like, wah. Min's here too, now wearing a fancy outfit. Matt talks to Min and is like, just think, Rand would love it if you were here. And Min's like, I guess you're right. And we argued last time that this should have been sort of like preemptive.
Should have been the point. Yeah.
Yeah, it shouldn't be like an afterthought that Matt has to come up with. I would also appreciate it if, like, Min was capable of critical thinking here and not have to be told by a man
Yeah.
what she should do. But what do I know? Matt goes along with an entire, like, giant coterie because Tuon decides to come also. We cut to Edwin on the battlefield, having the same Lan realization. Something isn't right. Oh my god.
Mm-hmm.
She's now being guarded by both Gawain and Leolwyn, and she's like, it's pretty funny they're competing with each other, and I'm like, that is funny, and I would have been delighted if this was like an arc earlier, and we could just have Gawain and Edgelord
Yeah.
bodyguards competing against one another. I think that's a funny
I do too.
subplot, and I think it would give Gawain an outlet for some of his weirdness.
Yeah.
Like, if he's just like, I have to be better than this specific person, not everyone, then I think he would be a little bit more normal.
Oh, agreed.
So it's really tragic that Edgelord didn't get here sooner, I guess.
Yeah.
We get to Lan directly confronting Agelmar, putting him under arrest and being like, you're probably under compulsion. Agelmar himself kind of gets talked into, like, realizing that he's been making irrational decisions and has been sabotaging stuff, so he tries to commit seppuku, and Lan's like, no. You're a soldier, man, act like it. And I'm like, do you think, like, kids were committing seppuku? That was very much a soldier thing.
It was actually something that the Candlemakers were doing on a routine basis when the candles were shit.
The guys who made barrels are like, this is a shitty barrel, I have to kill myself. No.
I've dishonored the whole...
I, like, literally laughed out loud.
Yeah.
I was like, you are a soldier, act like one. I'm like, he
is.
Within his cultural context,
Yeah.
which is just Japan.
Yeah.
Shinar equals Japan. So that was extremely funny. But Lan's like, no, don't kill yourself, you're too pretty.
Yeah. You're so sexy.
You're so sexy, don't kill yourself.
Yeah.
Agelmar doesn't kill himself, and he is like, oh my gosh, I've set up Tenobia, the Queen of Saldea, to get fucking murked. And Lan, like, looks across the battlefield and sees, like, oh.
Yeah. Tenobia's little angel going up to heaven.
Yeah. One day more. Yeah, he's like, well, that's fucked up.
Rip.
Rip my good bitch.
Yeah. Well, she's gone now, I guess. Doesn't that make Davram Bashir the king of
Yeah,
Saldea?
if you're keeping track of the Saldean line of succession, that does mean Perrin and Fail just moved up a rung.
Click.
Bashir, who is also a dark friend, in quotes, is now next in line for the throne. And Perrin is in the dream world, and Fail is
gone.
Has been MIA from the narrative for fully, like, 300 pages.
Yeah, she doesn't exist anymore. No one's thinking about her, not even Perrin.
I know, Perrin has not thought of Fail, which is extremely uncharacteristic of him, to just be like, what? My wife? I'm like, what? Who are you?
Yeah.
Are you under compulsion?
Yeah. Grendel was like, this is so annoying. I gotta
like,
get rid of this.
My god.
This is enough. I've had enough.
That's the real revelation. Everyone is under compulsion, but Grendel is only sabotaging some people. Mostly she's just making them less annoying.
Yeah.
Or more annoying in Matt's case.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Fail will reappear pretty soon, but we'll talk about that when we get there. Matt goes and looks at the battlefield. He, like, notices the little Demandrid circle. Mm-hmm. He's like, that's Demandrid? And they're like, yeah, he's yelling about how he wants to duel the Dragon Reborn. And Matt's like, okay, so he's fully off his rocker.
Yeah,
Like,
it's the only genuinely funny thing Brandon Sanderson Matt has said. What does he say? Demandrid, eh? Has gone a bit dotty or what?
I was like, okay, I thought we were American.
Yeah.
Brandon's use of, like, Cockney slang
Gone a bit.
at random.
How'd you do? My name's Gavroche.
How many times can we make the Gavroche joke in
2 episodes. Yeah, so Matt being like, okay, well, he's
fully lost the plot. Like,
bananas,
okay,
yeah.
whatever. And just, like, moves on from
yeah,
that.
it's pretty funny.
Incredibly funny. But Matt is like, what are we doing? There's like an entire force of Shanshan reserves here that's not being used when it could clearly be used. So he trots off to go talk to them. Happily for us, I guess, is that it's not a new character. It's a character we recognize. Ty Lee, who was part of the Perrin Shanshan union a couple books ago. The Perrin/Shanshan marriage.
Yeah.
And it's like, he's like, let's go, Ty Lee. And she's like, no one can even find Gareth Bryn. And we are like, oh, well, we saw him moving around camp being like, I shan't be assassinated if I just keep moving. And we were like, how's anyone gonna fucking find you then?
Yeah.
How are the good guys gonna find you either?
Yeah.
So, nice to see that come back. But Matt's like, let's just, like, get in there. He swaps with a random guy to get on armor, which we've never seen him wear before.
Yeah.
Again, because he's usually
Not
really far
fighting.
back. And I'm just like, oh, okay, so this guy is not gonna fight? How did they decide?
Yeah.
Hey, Greg,
Hey, Greg.
you're not even gonna use that armor.
Greg, you're pathetic.
Greg, you suck.
The best thing that will happen to you is giving your armor to the Prince of the Ravens.
Yeah, you get to wear his stinky coat.
Yeah. You're welcome.
You're welcome. And Greg's like, thank you, my lord.
Yeah. My liege. My liege.
Anyway, they join the battle. It's an action sequence. The only important things are that, Matt gets attacked by a Sharan channeler, which obviously does not work because of his medallion, and he then takes her captive. Again, should have just killed her.
I know.
At least he doesn't, like, narrate this with a, like, she's a woman, I can't possibly kill her. That would be incredibly annoying. It just kind of, like, seems like that's what happens. Mm-hmm. She gets knocked out and then taken captive. He then, like, does this whole thing where he cracked one of his nails while he was fighting, so he kind of, like, gets the nail edge off and, like, flicks it aside or whatever while he's talking to some guy, and apparently that's a Shanshan ritual.
Yeah.
To raise someone into the lower nobility, which I'm like, you have to break your own nail to do that? Like,
yeah, it would be one thing if the Shanshan were all rocking, like, acrylics.
You just, like, peel one off and toss it.
But to be like, you have to bite or rip your own nail off and throw it at somebody? Someone's feet, excuse me, you're not, like, knocking them in the head with it.
I will kill you with my toenail.
It'd be a lot grosser if it was toenails.
I mean, yeah.
You have to get down on your on the floor and gnaw off.
I mean, the, like, length of some of these fingernails means that they are basically stabbing weapons at a certain point.
Yeah,
but, like, they're like that lady in X-Men 2. Excuse me, X2. What?
Excuse me, X.
That's what it says.
I know. You're so cute.
On the DVD case.
You're so cute.
So 7 in, X2. I believe that we should...
Emily believes in reading, unlike the rest of us.
Oh no, I just believe that we should make movie makers suffer by referring to their movies by the proper names.
Yeah.
They deserve it. Anyway, Matt then leaves and goes back to Tuon. This is when he's like, we need to take command from Gareth Bryn. He's like, Tuon, you need to give me the entire command of our armies, not just Galgan over here. And he's like, Min needs to go warn Edwene. So Min gets sent off to do that. Tuon informs Matt that he has boosted himself in the eyes of the Shanshan, A, by raising that guy to the nobility, and B, by taking a channeler captive, specifically a channeling woman. I don't know what they would have done if it was a channeling man.
Yeah.
That would have been funnier, in my opinion.
Yeah.
If Matt was like, instead of having to deal with the very, like, sexist BDSM connotations that already exist with the within the Demon system, if Matt had like a weird little channeling man running around with him. Obviously I do not approve of the brainwashing and everything, but I think it would be just funnier.
Yeah, it would add to his sort of like canon of mystique, you know?
Everyone's like, oh, he's the only guy who has a male
Yeah.
demon.
Yeah.
And then they could fuck nasty, you know?
obviously.
Whatever. Tragically, no one in this book believes in having a good time. 2-1 does give Matt command, though, so Galgan is no longer a relevant actor.
Bye.
So again, I don't know why this just didn't happen a few chapters ago, but here we are. Cut to Perrin, who is running around the world of dreams like, hey, what's going on? I don't fucking know what's going on. He talks to a wolf who turns out to be Elias, which I think is incredibly funny.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I thought Elias had died. We haven't heard from Elias. I don't know, I just like in all the keeping track of wolves, I was like, okay, Elias is dead now, and he lives in the wolf dream as a dead wolf?
Sure, yeah.
But then they're like, no, Elias is still alive, and I was like...
He's just sleeping, yeah.
How am I... What?
I mostly was like, so you have been able to come here this entire time totally without issue, and you couldn't, like, spare 5 minutes of training for Perrin? No, he had to get Hopper to do it? Absolutely not.
Elias was busy.
Elias?
Not being dead.
Elias is kind of iconic to me. He's literally just like, I will swoop in, say something quote-unquote profound to Perrin, and then leave, and you'll never see me again. And I'm like...
My work here is done.
My work here is done. You've done nothing. I love that for him. Anyway, Perrin witnesses Grendel messing around in Eturold's tent, and he and Elias presume that she's sabotaging all of the 4 generals. Perrin's like, Elias, you have to wake up and tell everyone. So word is starting to spread. Meanwhile, Slayer goes to attack the Pit of Doom. Perrin's like, he's already tried to attack it like 3 times, but the wolves just turned him away, but now it seems like he's getting serious, so who knows what's going on there. Then we cut to Rand, who is literally doing a sword fight with Moridin. Can't emphasize enough how hilarious this is. Rand says something intriguing to Moridin, which is, you thought you were the Dark One, didn't you? Has he punished you for that? Referring to Ishmael's actions in the first 3 books when he was referring to himself as Baal-Zaman, a name we know for the Dark One. So this incredibly late stage confirmation that Ishmael wasn't like cunningly evil. He was just he just also had fully lost the plot.
Yeah.
Way too little too late, but also very funny to me.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, he's just very mentally ill running around.
Just having a little Delulu summer.
Yeah, he's just like, I am Satan. And it's like, yeah, that's the most, like, that is the most typical delusion for people, one of the most typical delusions for people experiencing psychosis.
Yeah.
To be like, I'm Satan or I'm God or whatever.
Yeah.
Delusions of grandeur.
Sorry about the Delulu joke. That feels a little out of taste. But
he does seem to have been incredibly mentally ill.
yeah, a psychosis for sure. Or something. His answer is pretty funny though. And his sort of...
Rand's like, did he punish you? And he's like, he brought me back from the dead.
Yeah. And we're like, okay,
Edgelord.
we get it.
You don't want to be alive. Why don't you commit seppuku then?
He's not a candlemaker, so
That's true,
it's
yeah. He
not
doesn't have
available to him culturally. It would be cultural appropriation.
You can't stab yourself. It's appropriation. In this fight, Moiraine and Nynaeve are like literally clinging to some stalactites, which is like
a little koala bear.
like they're getting blown away in the fucking tornado that got Dorothy's house. And I'm like,
yeah.
why is this only affecting them?
It's so... in my mind, it's a very, like, anime visual. Like, these 2 guys are fighting so hard that they're creating
a
gale force winds.
Incredible.
Yeah. And so Nynaeve and Moiraine, the useless women who have to be there because it's an anime.
And they're just batteries.
And they just have to cling to the rocks.
Yeah. I'm so mad, by the way, speaking of Nynaeve, that, like... it's important that she's here and whatever, I guess. We'll get to that later. But, like, She has also been doing work in the last few books with compulsion and, like, undoing compulsion. So this would have been a great time for her to be, like, accessible.
You know?
Or for her to have passed that on to someone in some way, or, like, another Aes Sedai to have taken up the cause. Because, like, now what? Now they're just under compulsion perpetually? Like, are Bashir, Bryn, and everyone else just off the board entirely? They have to be locked up?
Yeah.
Who knows? Anyway, while Rand and Moridin are fighting, Rand accidentally touches the capital D darkness, and we don't really know what goes on to him. Yeah, we're just like, whoa. It says, all went black. So I guess the Dark One ate him, you guys, and that's it.
Like Pac-Man.
Yeah, close the book. It's over. He touched the thing you weren't supposed to touch. Over with Elaine. Her people are getting beat up. She's like, well, we're all gonna die. And then what would happen but the Ashaman show up. Logain is like, hello, I'm here. And it's like, I don't know why just them showing up couldn't be enough.
Yeah.
But then we had to do, like, Androl do some stunts with gateways and lava. Just because Brandon Sanderson's really horny for his special guy.
It's actually, like, embarrassing. Like, even if I was dying on this battlefield, I would be, like, overcompensating.
I'd be like, okay, cringe. What is going on?
You don't need to do... You already have magic. Why don't you just use them? I don't understand why they aren't just hurling their own fireballs. It's so silly.
Yeah, I think the sort of Androl obsession that Brandon Sanderson has is that he, like many of us readers, was like, wow, there are so many creative things you can do with gateways that are not being done. You know, this is a magic system that did not have, like, good rules placed upon them. So that by the time we get to books 10 and 11, when channeling isn't, traveling is in more widespread use, we're like, damn, why are these people so stupid about this? This should be the most OP ability of all time. And, like, I get that urge. I really do. But by giving it to just one guy whose capital T talent is traveling, what you make it seem like is that everyone else was just too dumb to think of these things. Like, and that Androl is just the smartest boy in the world, the smartest, most creative, most innovative person. Like, I think, Brandon, you should have just sort of resigned yourself to working within the limits that Robert Jordan kind of non-canonically placed on traveling.
Yeah.
And just sort of been like, yeah, I'm probably going to get put through the ringer by fans for being like, wow, nothing creative ever happens with traveling, but that's Robert Jordan's fault, not yours.
Yeah, and it would be way less embarrassing on you than this.
Yeah, this makes it look like you are just, like, jerking off. In a narrative sense.
Yeah. It's very Mary Sue.
Yeah. A little awkward. Logain also waltzes onto the battlefield and is like, I don't fucking know how long it's been. I've spent the last X amount of time reading Mazrim Tem's secret notes, so I already know about the compulsion planned on the 4 great generals. And I'm like, what? Okay.
Then pick up the phone.
Then, yeah, what? This was so late.
What are you doing?
What the hell? You have Mr. Traveler here.
Yeah, you should have been like, a sticky note that says, idea, compulsion on the 4 generals. And then you should have been like, ring, 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 I'm on a party line with all 4 battlefronts.
Hey, guys.
Hey, guys, something I need you to check on.
Could someone, like, do a quick X-ray, lobotomy, CT scan?
Can I get the CT machine in here?
Bring in the MRI. No, yeah, it's insane. Logain's just like, I value my dramatic entrance way more than actually being of assistance, which at least is true to Logain's character.
Yeah, fair enough. You gotta respect the authenticity.
Logain is a character who is, has negative riz, but fully believes that he is the most charismatic person in any given scenario. He's so overhyped himself.
Yeah, he's giving Prince Charming from Shrek. Except very ugly.
Logain waltzes on, has a hairnet that he takes off. He's like, don't worry, I've just been in makeup for the last 2 hours, getting ready to save your asses. Like, it's nice to finally have the Asha'man on the battlefield.
Seriously.
It is a little insane because we sort of left off that plot like 200 pages ago, at least.
And I was like, legitimately, what were you... I know you guys were, like, fighting Mazrim or whatever, but what... You were in Andor when the Trollocs came and burned Camelin. Like, you're pretty close to Camelin, so, like, how is it not a priority for you before now?
Yeah,
to
Logain
check on
is
that
like,
situation.
We could have gone to any of the battlefields, but of course we stand with the Lion of Andor. And I'm like, oh, that would have been nice when you guys were actually in Andor.
Yeah, what the...
But now you're in Kyrian, so...
You...
Yeah, the timelines are becoming more and more incredibly warped. Perrin's like, I've been in the world of dreams for hours, which is insane. Yeah. He's like, Rand's been in the Boar for hours, maybe even minutes. Insane. He's like, the battlefield at Thakandar, 5 days. We're like, okay. Everywhere else, he's like, even longer. And we're like, okay, what is even longer?
Yeah, I'm gonna...
Days, weeks?
I need some sort of, like, ticker across the bottom of this book.
Yeah.
Like they have at the stock exchange.
Like, did every Asha'man at the Black Tower just fully, like, pass out for 3 days?
Yeah.
After all their fighting and stuff, and that's why they have been out of commish.
Logain thought it was a really good time for a team retreat.
Yeah.
You know, just to kind of boost morale before going into battle.
And, like, why did Mazrim Tem and the other Forsaken just leave them there to regroup?
And read all of Mazrim Tem's secret notes.
Yeah, Mazrim Tem was like, I've never heard of teleporting in my life. I'll just leave my secret diary.
Yeah, my secret diary that you open it and it's like evil plans.
Yeah, evil plans. He hasn't even written it in code.
Yeah.
I mean, Logain says he has, but I choose to believe that that's just that there was one of those itty bitty little padlocks on it with a little key, like you get at Claire's.
Mm-hmm. The diary's all pink
and it took 2 days for Logain to get through that because he's the world's most pathetic disgrace of a man.
Yeah. And he was like this confounded technology.
Yeah.
What they do is form a circle with men and women channelers, and Andrel makes the biggest gateway in human history and channels the lava out of Dragonmount onto the Trolloc army.
And I'm like, is that gonna have any effect ecologically?
Oh my gosh, we could talk about the freaking... Matt keeps talking about how the Shanshan and Sharan channelers are just, like, exploding the landscape. Anyway.
Yeah, they're just gonna be pitted wastelands.
But yeah, you have to be like, okay, now there's just gonna be, like, lava fields outside of Kyrian for the rest of forever?
Like, what does that look like?
Also, it's just, like... I'm not going to keep calling it embarrassing, but it is embarrassing. We've talked before about how Andrel's arc could be read as one of impotence, of male impotence. And so for his, like, climactic moment to be...
Stop. Stop. I don't want to hear it. This is not our Ice Planet Barbarians.
Just to be so, like, phallic with the dragon mouth and the whole, like... ejaculating lava. It's just a little embarrassing.
Yeah, it doesn't help
that. A little embarrassing.
Okay. It doesn't... Yeah, Andrel comes all over the page. What do you want me to say?
It's just... Sorry. I had an English degree, and I had to talk about this thing in classes that I paid for.
That's true, yeah. We did have to talk about, phallic resonances and shit like that. A lot. Fuck you, Freud.
I'm only using the training that I received.
She flicks her hair back.
To tell you what you should be thinking about when you read about the Lava Gateway.
Yeah, it's embarrassing, partly because it's not even in Andrel's point of view, it's in Elaine's point of view, and she's like, oh my god, this is legendary. Yeah. This is incredible. I've never seen something this incredible. And I'm like, are you sure? Like, are you sure? You saw the Bowl of the Winds used.
Yeah.
You've seen a lot of incredible shit in your day. You saw Matt Cathon break into the Stone of Tyr.
Single-handedly.
Which was way sexier than anything Andrel has ever done. Yeah, just sort of insane. And then, like, the fight's not even over. That just gave them time to retweet. To retreat. And I'm like, okay, if you were gonna do the most amazing legendary thing of all time, it should have just decimated those Trollocs.
Yeah, you should have just won, then.
Yeah.
What was the point, Andrew?
You can't have it both ways. He's like, I bought you an hour's time. And I'm like, that's it?
Right.
An hour? How many Turlocs are there? I know numbers become meaningless at a certain point.
Right.
But even the lack of numbers is becoming meaningless at this point. I'm like, how many are there? How many can there possibly be?
Well, good thing there's more lava to channel, I guess.
I really wish that we had seen this entire chapter from the point of view of, like, some random guy on the walls of Kyrian, you know, some civilian, some shoemaker, as it were.
Yeah.
Who's just, like, sees a giant door open in the middle of nowhere into a volcano, into a live volcano, and is like, cool. So, cool. And it's, like, coming right at him. And he's like, oh, so they've just decided scorched earth literally.
Yeah.
So I've been betrayed. Is that it? Oh.
Yeah, just sort of imagine confronting that power in the universe and how, like, small you feel and how, like, replaceable if Elaine, commander of your country now, is so willing to just let people burn the fields around Kyrian. I know people keep saying, like, it's the last battle and we have to pull out all the stops or whatever, but it's not a very sustainable mindset. You know? Someone's got to be thinking about the future generations, and that person is me. Mm-hmm. And this guy on the wall of Kyrian.
This guy we've made up.
Gavroche.
This might be our last time making up a guy. Yeah, it's Gavroche, but he's grown up.
Mr. Gavroche, thank you very much.
Excuse me, Mr. Gavroche.
Yeah.
He didn't die in the French Revolution, which I guess would have been around about book 2 or 3.
Yeah. He lived to tell the tale.
He lived to tell the tale.
Now he makes shoes. He's a cobbler.
Mm-hmm. Well, those are those 3 chapters. Yeah. That's how I feel also.
A couple of stinkers.
A few stinkers, that's for sure. Yeah, our next few chapters are just gonna, like, keep us edging toward the sort of next stage of this, which is where inevitably Matt will be in command of all the armies and the battlefields will be consolidated. We might check up on Fail at some point, but IDK.
Why would we? It's not like she's been a major character for the last 10 books. That would be ridiculous. I have to think. I have to see what Min is doing as the Doom speaker.
It really does feel like Brandon Sanderson, like, internalized the wrong reviews, you know? Was just like, oh, everyone hates Fail. And instead of being like, oh, that's because she's the center of a plot that people universally hated for reasons sort of beyond Fail's personal character. He just was like, oh, yeah, well, people don't like Fail, I guess, so I shan't write her. And instead of being like, wow, traveling is sort of a systemic issue that Robert Jordan built in, I'll fix it.
Yeah.
Like, dude.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's that.
That's
anything to add?
No.
Okie dokie. Thank you to Glenn and Mackenzie for our theme song. Thanks to our patrons on Patreon and our followers on social media. Do you have a sign off?
Oh, let me think. I'm sure we have one. Oh, this is a little bit of whimsy to add to your life. Family Lake Vacation has been referenced for the past time you've been listening to this podcast every summer. Go up to the lake, and there's a soft serve ice cream machine where you can get ice cream, which of course my 5-year-old nephew loves. Wants to have a big chocolate ice cream cone several times a day. He is allowed 1 a day.
And he will lick it 3 times and then it melts.
Yeah, it's infuriating, actually. Because then he'll often just hand me, or whoever the nearest adult is, his disgusting, melty ice cream
desiccated
cone. And I'll be like, okay, I'm going to throw this away. And he'll be like, no, you have to save it for later. And then I have to explain the concept of melting to a 5-year-old.
You don't understand. Ice cream, it goes away.
But anyway, in one of these instances where he took, a few licks of his ice cream cone and then decided he needed to go play on the beach, he'd set his ice cream cone on the, ice chest on the beach. And I'd look over at one point, and a squirrel has fully picked up the ice cream cone and was just going crazy on this thing. And so I get up to, not that I'm gonna give it back to my nephew after a squirrel eats it, but I'm like, the squirrel probably shouldn't have, it was like the full little crispy cone and a decent size of like a scoop of ice cream left.
And that squirrel was just like, it's crack cocaine, baby.
And I was like, I don't think this is something you should have. The squirrel, in his super strength, just lifted up this ice cream cone and scurried away with the whole ice cream
Carried
cone.
it to his lair.
And I was like, okay, it's yours now. And then he was up in the trees, and I would look up occasionally, and there he was.
Wow.
With his little ice cream cone. So I hope that squirrel's okay. Mentally, best day of his life, probably.
Yeah, maybe he went out with a bang. We never know. The squirrels and chipmunks at the lake are incredibly
Very friendly.
domesticated in a way. My sister had one jump into her lap at some point.
Yeah.
And she was just like, what do I do?
It wants you to feed it, Sarah.
She was like, what? I just have a chipmunk now?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're funny. Weird little guys.
Are close.
The pictures of that squirrel and that ice cream cone are so funny. We'll have to post them.
Yeah, he just fully holding it in his little hands like a little person.
Okay, everyone. Thank you.
Bye.
Have a good week. Bye.